Dungy joining us, NBC Football Night in America analyst. How you doing today, sir?
Hello, Kay. Doing great. How are you, Donnie?
I'm good, Coach. I told Kay, just call you Coach, you know?
Can I call you
fine.
Coach? Mr. Dungy, Coach, sir? I don't know.
Once a coach, always a coach.
Thank you.
That is what he said. You're probably preparing for Football Night in America. Is it tougher to prepare for that or for week one as a coach?
Well, probably a little bit tougher preparing for this, as we've got to focus on all different teams. When you're coaching, you're just getting your team ready and concentrating on the opponent. But we're trying to size up everybody and have some things to comment on this entire weekend.
When you're going into week one as a coach, do you know what kind of team that you have? Do you ever think this is an absolutely dreadful team? Oh boy, I'm in trouble.
You don't know for sure. You have like a 90% thought. I believe what I've seen, and this is how our team's going to be. This is how we function in preseason. This is how we practice. But there's always that little bit of you that says, I'm anxious to see how we click, how the young guys perform when it's live bullets, just how everything's going to go. But you have a good idea. You have a thought anyway coming out of training camp.
Coach, you think it's a little bit different? I mean, like I understand what you're saying. You go into the season and obviously you kind of get that litmus test. But with the new rules that people are going to in training camp, do you think you can actually be able to tell that? Because I think that it has to be a little bit more difficult for a coach.
It is more difficult, but you can tell about the chemistry, how the team's working together. What you don't get a sense of is how your rookies and your new guys are going to mesh. You just don't get enough work. You don't get to see enough live action. When you could hit and do a little bit more in camp, you knew if your young guys were going to be ready or not. Now you think guys are going to be ready, but when they get that first NFL hit, you're not sure how they're going to respond.
Coach, I watched Hard Knocks for the first time this season. How hard is it to cut a rookie?
Well, it's hard to cut a rookie, but I'll tell you this, Kay, it's much harder to cut a veteran, especially somebody who's been through the ropes with you, who's won games for you, and now when you have to let those guys go, that's really difficult. With the rookies, a lot of times, get a second chance. Somebody's going to pick them up, and you develop a little connection with them. But, hey, you win a ton of games with someone and then have to tell them it's time to go. They aren't quite good enough to stay in your family. Those are the difficult ones.
Yeah, I can. I've been one of those guys that got cut. One of those older vets that got called up to the office. Yes. I can tell you what, that was an experience. I had to give that bro hug at the very end and walk out with my head held high. But as we come into this season, I'm sure you've picked your favorites, and as you kind of look towards 2014, what are you thinking?
Well, you look and see what teams look like they've gained ground on the best teams from last year. If you look at Seattle and San Francisco in the championship game in the NFC, and New England and Denver, those four teams are still going to be strong, and every indication is that they're going to play well. Now, who's made moves to maybe close the ground on them? And I don't know who that is in the AFC. I still see Denver and New England as being the teams to beat in the AFC. In the NFC, though, very, very interesting. You look at New Orleans. They've got Sean Payton back the whole year now. They've added the rookie kind of phenom from Oregon State and a guy who can make plays and replacing Darren Sproles. They've gotten a little bit better on defense, adding some guys there. Have they done enough to close the gap? Philadelphia, with Chip Kelly being the second year in the system, they lost Deshaun Jackson, but everybody else kind of knows the system a little bit better. Have they closed the gap a little bit? I like Detroit in the fact that I know Jim Caldwell and the kind of stability he's going to bring. If they can rein in that talent and play to their talent level, maybe they can close the gap a little bit. But it's still, to me, Seattle, San Francisco, Denver, and New England. That's who everybody's chasing.
Hanging out with Tony Dungy here on the Dan Patrick Show. Tomorrow's game is in Seattle. You mentioned them. What do they have to do to get back to the Super Bowl this year?
They have to avoid the thought of, hey, no one can catch us, no one can handle us. We've got a lot of people back. We're going to be fine. Everything's good, and they seem to have done that. Just being out here, you feel the energy. You get the sense in reading the papers how these guys have practiced. I think Russell Wilson has been a great leader for them offensively, and their offense has played better in the preseason than at any time last year. Having Percy Harvin healthy now really helps them. And these fans are not going to let them coast. These fans are just tremendous out here. So it's hard to repeat, but you have to like Seattle's chances.
And when you look at Russell Wilson and his numbers and obviously his ability as a quarterback and actually going to the Super Bowl and winning, why do people, in your professional opinion, why do people still call him a game manager? Why is he not cracked the ranks of being NFL's elite minus
that's
game
people
manager?
Who don't really know the game. They look at just the numbers. Well, he doesn't throw 40 passes a game. He doesn't have X number of touchdowns. But Russell Wilson made big play after big play after big play when they needed it. And that's what a winning quarterback does. Now, there's some games he's going to have to take charge and win them, and they feel confident he can do that. But their team is built on running the ball, playing defense, and the quarterback making sound decisions. I played with Terry Bradshaw in Pittsburgh, and the first 2 Super Bowls we won with that formula. And Bradshaw was a very good quarterback, but it wasn't until later when he had to carry it, that's when people saw it. And I think that's the same thing with Russell Wilson. He's accurate. He makes great decisions. He's mobile. He makes big plays. But he doesn't have to win every game for them, so people just say, oh, well, he's nothing special. You're special if you win a Super Bowl.
We heard the news about Wes Welker missing the first 4 games of the season. If you're the coach, how much information do you know? Do you go talk to him? Do you try to get the truth? Do you care?
No, you really don't care because what happened, he has some substance in his body that is banned. And because of that, he's going to miss 4 games. So you don't care how it happened. It's just a lesson to everybody on your team. You have to be concerned with what your intake is, and you can't allow that to happen again. So you just tell them, hey, I don't care what happened. We can't let it happen again, and we move on.
Tony, Jim Irsay. Does the suspension of an owner affect the team at all? How does it affect the team?
I don't think it'll affect the team all that much. It will affect him. That team is his life, and he loves his guys. Not being able to be around is going to hurt him personally, and I hope it really does push him to get the help he needs to really take control of his life again. I think, if anything, the players they'll be motivated to win for him and to help him out because they know how much it means to him. So they're not going to want to let him down. But as far as day-to-day operations and is something going to fall apart because Jim's not there, no. He delegates a lot anyway. He had the final say on everything we did, but he lets the general manager run the team. He lets the coaches coach. And he's there to motivate. So I think they're going to be fine, and hopefully this does help Jim out.
And when those reports came out, I mean, how did you take it?
I felt terrible because I know he's battled with this. He had some health problems early on in life. He got addicted to painkillers, got off them for a long period of time, but then gradually fell back into it. And it's just something I hate to see because Jim is a good person at heart. He's done things for my family, for other people in the Colts family that will never even be known. He's reached out to so many people in the community. He's a good person, but he's fighting some demons and hopefully gets the help he needs.
But at the same time, right, you're sitting at the highest point in the National Football League. You own a team. You are what I think every fan, every player, every person, wishes they could own a team. Do you think that the judgment that was passed down from the big man was justified, or you think that because of the fact that he's setting such an example for other players that it should have been a little bit more? I mean, if you look at what happened with Sean Payton, if you even look at some of the players in terms of substance abuse, in terms of like Darryl Washington getting fined $3 million, you have Matt Prater, $750,000. Do you think it's enough?
That's a tough question. How much is enough? And everybody's going to say, the owner, he's got tons of money, but making a public statement against you, suspending you, keeping you away from your team for any period of time, it is a punishment. And the commissioner is in a tough spot. What is enough? Everybody is going to have an opinion. So many people are going to say it's not enough. So it's hard to say. But I think the whole thing just comes to show what the Bible says. You can have the whole world. You can be in that position of owning a team and being a person that everybody wants to emulate. That doesn't mean you're going to have your life together and have everything in place. So, again, I think if it's a step that pushes Jim Irsay in the right direction, getting the help that he needs, then the commissioner has done a good job.
6 games, $500,000 fine for the Colts owner. Tony Dungy, thanks for hanging out with us. You can catch him tomorrow on NBC, Football Night in America. Good luck tomorrow and good luck this season.
Hey, thank you very much. Always great being on the show. You guys enjoy the rest of the day filling in for Dan. We'll try to keep him in line out here.
All right.
All right, Coach. Thank you.